Okay, and now I'm going to read Song of Mornius, Chapter 3. I'm not sure if I'm going to put up any more chapters or not, but I did want to put up the first 3 because it pretty much introduces the main characters, including my villain character. So here you go, Chapter 3, Song of Mornius. Pony hovered as he reappeared above Mount Allianth, his gray ferret Samson clinging to his shoulder, digging needle-sharp claws into his neck beneath his hair. "Stop that!" Swatting at the little beast, Pony dove from the bright sky atop the mountain. With a wrench, he veered from the snow-heavy treetops below the glacier, flapped hard to regain the glistening ice. He aimed for 3 fingers, the craggy spurs marking his home. Above their splayed formation, he braked hard, throwing his weight backward into his wings. Samson leapt from his shoulder and dropped, kicking, to the snow. Relieved of his small passenger, Pony landed gently on the ice-crusted drifts, raising his staff as the ice gave way and he sank to his hips in loose powder. His cave beckoned above, an oval darkness carved in rock, partially hidden below the overhanging glacier. In its depths under the ice, he could soon forget the threatened world, leave the problem of the warders behind him. No! With a gesture, he dismissed the idea, ordered Samson, scampering up toward the cave they shared. I can't just ignore this, he thought. Not when the giants are involved, not when Avalar needs me. He glowered at the sky above the wispy high clouds, at Sephron's fire as round and brilliant as a second sun. I know what you fear, Great Warder. You think Avalar's death is all that's needed to destroy this world's magic, yet I can't take away her freedom. I don't have the heart for it. Pony slipped his hand into his pocket and clasped a smooth rounded stone. It warmed to his touch, throbbed softly as he withdrew it. Glaring upward, he clenched it tight. I have observed your approach, Sephron, how you draw closer to this world. Great Warder, hear me. You cannot help these people. There's nothing you can do. He paused, squinting. Then, chin to chest, he trudged upward through the snow. Ridiculous, he thought, climbing. This is his business, his world to protect. If he wants to destroy Talonkai, who am I to stop him? Stopping at the mouth of his cave, Pony used his staff to steady himself while he gazed down the tunnel. Through the darkness he glimpsed torches he could light at will. Brands that once kindled would guide him to his workroom. Pony lowered his crystal staff. Random images flashed through its depths, a kaleidoscope of possible futures. With a scowl he set it down, wedged it into a crack along the outer wall. You're supposed to make my job easier, he told it. Would that I had 2 of me. Perhaps then I'd have more time to discover your uses. He backstepped and turned. With the length of his boot, he swept aside the snow, revealing a blue-gray swath of ice underneath, a layer as thick as his arm. As he focused on his warder, power surged. Gleaming silver, it dripped from the stone in his hands, spilled in translucent drops to the ice at his feet. This was Sephron's magic, collected from the sky. Too much of it would kill his adopted world. As if it isn't threatened enough already. Crouching, Pony touched the fire his warder Sephron gathered for the making of stars. With his mind, he worked the magic, swirling it in patterns over the ice. It melted and merged, power and water he shaped with his thoughts. A pool widened around his feet. He pressed the starstone into the water, then hunkered low to block out the sun. Above his fingers his reflection winked out. From the ripples of light and shadow, Avalar's image formed. He watched her organize her provisions, her braided hair flicking as she worked, scattering droplets down her bare arms and shoulders. She huddled in a dry spot at the sea cave's far end, in a corner beyond the slanted ceiling. Sails. Pony flinched from a sudden burning behind him. He batted at steam scalding his face, plumes of vapor distorting his view of the giant. Kraken's teeth! He sprang to his feet and turned. Veins of fire slapped, hissing across the snow, writhing orange beneath sheets of white steam. Above his head the glacier imploded, filling the air with blue silver shards. Pony staggered back, cringing beneath his arm as the fragments rained down. His face thus shielded, he lifted the Starstone. "Your power's too close," he shouted. "Sephram, hear me!" He tottered forward, stomping the numbness from his feet. "Focus!" Through his teeth he snarled the words. "Focus through your stone!" He turned to face his warder and lowered his arm, lifting his gaze toward the burning sphere that was Sephram's heart. Flames roiled about him, clashing in beds of hissing steam. Pony stumbled from the blistering heat. He folded his wings, drew them tight against his back. For a moment longer he held his tongue, allowing the godlike Sephram time to think. He focused on his breathing and the effort it took. His lungs were roasting in his chest, scalded by the hot, damp air he snatched in. "Talankai's precious to you," he managed between gasps. "So much that you resurrected its son. You've done everything you can to preserve it. If you throw it all away now to reach your enemy Malian, then what? Talankai's a world of magic, and yet it has life. How often does that happen, Sephram? Kill it now and you won't find that again. Not in your lifetime." Pony, his jaws clenched, strove for patience while Sephram fumed. Mature warders spoke with feelings and fire, not words. Language was beneath them, a plaything for their offspring and nothing more. Crackling fiercely, the flames reared backward to sear the sky. "You want Melian, I know that." Pony hardened his voice as he squinted into Sephram's brightness. "You hate what he's doing, and so you would stop him from hiding here, drive him back into space where he belongs. But it would destroy us, Sephram. It would destroy everything you love." "Great Warder, listen to me. Halram, your child, lives still. Hear me!" Trembling, Pony turned and knelt. Water ran across the snow, draining from the ice above his cave. "Touch the world?" he muttered darkly. "I don't think so. Not while there's still hope. I am your instrument, remember? I have given up everything for you, my home and my world. Now it's your turn." Pony gripped his silver starstone, one of 3 remnants from the dead world of humans called Earth. With the gem he caught Sephram's fire, guided it gently between the currents of Talankai's magic. "Only through your stone may you touch this world," whispered Pony, "and only through the stone. This is why you chose me to stay here on Talankai, so that I may help you do so. I serve you willingly because Talankai matters to me as much as it matters to you." Pony stared at the starstone, at the blazing reflection that was his warder. "Sephram, hear me." He paused, wincing at the fire in his throat. "Your son Halram failed in his first battle against Malian. It's been 500 years, and still he's trapped within his staff. But he's rousing, Sephram. His staff, Mornius, returns to life." Pony, leaning forward, held his stone over the water. Avalar's image wavered beneath the surface, stiffening at the edges as the water froze. The giant went on about her tasks, oblivious to his scrutiny or the peril of Sephram's fire. Hands clenched, Pony watched Avalar travel west to the Great Falls. Frozen at the top by the ice storms of late autumn, the Shamoth River plunged to the sea. Beside it, Avalar ascended the cliff in stages, her back swaying in the angry wind. Her daring raised his blood, making it hammer in his neck. He forced himself to visualize Mornius, Halram's staff. As the starstone in his hands pulsed white, Sephram's power leaked out, blades of it trickling down his arms to the water. A distant reflection glinted in response, a flicker of blue from the skystone mounted in Mornius. Blue flames leapt from his pool, from the legendary staff's reflection. They answered his will, drawing into focus another image, that of a gaunt-limbed human male, his brown eyes glaring beneath his rust-brown hair. Pony recognized the youth he had, through his magic, studied for years. Free at last from his stepfather's abuse, Galen Laval seemed now as a creature reborn in his fine blue cloak, his expression hopeful as he marched toward the Highland town Meredith. In his hand blazed Mornius, the Skystone staff. As Pony shifted on his knees to face his warder, he gestured to the vision. "Look for yourself if you don't believe. Come and see how the Skystone burns." The young Galen's passion has roused Halram's power. Through Galen, your child will gain strength enough to escape this world. When he does, he'll drive Malian out with him. Pony watched Sephram's light retreat from Alliance's white slopes. Once again, the mountain's 3 craggy spikes spilled their shadows across the snow. Trembling, Pony climbed to his feet. "Yes, warder," he whispered. "Give us this chance. Galen Laval travels to Teardon, as does the giant Avalar." He shook his head. A young human and a young giant, both searching and both led. Who can say, Sephron? Perhaps with Halram's help, they'll both save the world. While I stay here doing nothing, as helpless to act as Sephron. Pony rubbed at his eyes at the echoes of fire behind his lids. "No," he whispered, "there's one thing I can do." From the smallest pocket of his vest he retrieved a gilt stone lion. Bending stiffly, he set the statue at his feet. It warmed as he stroked it, stretching beneath his palm. Yelsamin. Pony breathed its name, welcomed it as it grew. "Find Grevelin's daughter and follow. Keep yourself hidden. Return to me when she reaches my city." Tossing its shaggy-maned head, the beast roared. Pony stumbled back. With a powerful kick, the lion sprang across the snow. It slipped on the melted ice, its huge paws scrambling. In silence, Pony watched the great cat plow through the slushy drifts. With a flick of its tail, it vanished down the hill. Pony scowled at his staff beside the cave. Its crystal layers flashed in the sunshine, showing him hints of possible futures, but nothing at all to ease his heart. Felrina Vlyn, standing near the edge of the tarn, studied its troubled surface. She clenched her staff hard with sweaty fingers. Black ripples lapped the rocky shelf at her feet. The wizard Veeler's long-dead spirit nudged the pool's depths until it answered her will. Reflecting more than stalactites above, she beheld what she dreaded most, the one thing her god Malian feared, the staff Mornius. At it again, priestess? Crouched on his heels in his midnight robe, Methlin Menz scrabbled along the uneven damp rock to her side. She glowered at the head of her order's bloodless face, despising him for what he was, the creature he was becoming. Though his power was no stronger than hers, he had a quality about him, a warped heat rising from his bones. Felrina stiffened as he leaned over the tarn and sneered. "Oh, look, it's Galen Laval." His sarcasm echoed in the sunken chamber. "Get out of here, Menz." She knelt to stare at the pool, scrutinizing the image before her. With bony hands he flipped his staff over. From the edge of her vision she watched him plunge its power-absorbing blackstone deep to where the water's old magic burned. Menz gestured at the pool. "Veeler's strength belongs to me, and you waste it. And for what? Him?" "Since you ask, yes." She fingered her heavy staff, studying the blazing stone mounted at the top. The earth rock flickered in its cage of steel. It was alien, a fragment from the world of her ancestors. Devoid of magic, it served as the object for her warder Malian to focus through. "I've seen enough to know what he is. There's a god in his staff, remember? The one warder who dared to fight Malian. Halram's dead, or he might as well be dead. What good is he without his fire?" Menz lifted his dripping staff. Leaning forward, he licked at the blood-tainted water on his fingers. Oh, come now, Farina. Galen's no more a threat to me than the slop I ate for breakfast. The worst he'll do is rot in my guts. He's a coward, a weakling. Farina ignored him. His mind was gone, consumed by the old magic, warped by his touch. Chanting softly, she drove her percipients down toward the soul of the great wizard. You show me Galen Laval, she whispered, and Mornius, his staff. But why, Veeler? Where does he go? The image drew back. Farina saw fields of snow, a town huddled behind blue-white mist. Leaning out past her knees, she stiffened at the sight. Without men's support, she would have toppled into the pool. Meredith? She clutched at Men's. Oh, great Malian, no! The Seeker Elves. Meredith's their town. If he discovers the truth, he won't. Men's rasped his words, reminding her of his Veeler-made creatures. His fingers drew her back. She shivered as they smoothed her long hair. And even if he does, so what? I'll stop him, Farina. My army destroyed Kitterin. What threat is one boy to me? Farina winced at his reference to her former home, the beloved community she had helped bring to ruin. She covered her ears, shutting out the nasal pitch of his voice as best she could. Shifting forward once again, she planted her elbows beside her knees on the uneven floor. Her eyes burned as she studied the pool, staring as the vision continued.